crafty friends, it's Jess from jesscrafts.com, and today I have a card for the Lawnscaping Facebook Inspiration Team blog hop for September. We're being sponsored by Ink Road, and the inspiration color is dark blue. For today's card, I'll be using the Winter Bunny stamp set and die, as well as some other dies from Lawn Fawn. The Winter Bunny stamp is cut on some 110-pound cardstock, because I'll be doing some Copic coloring later. And then I have two of the Lawn Fawn small stitched rectangles cut out of white paper, and with the second one, I use the stitched hillside border to cut out a hill for the bunny to be sledding down. I'm going to take the complete rectangle and do some ink blending on the background, as well as some layering of glitter embossing powder through this stencil, and then I'll layer that plain white border for the snow. I'm going to start with the chipped sapphire and faded jeans distress inks. I find when doing these color challenges that the distress inks are an easy go-to because I have almost all of the colors, the complete palette, and therefore I can use them to create a card background that will allow me to tie in all the colors, and it's a little bit easier than searching for pattern paper. I want to lay the color down really heavy, so I'm getting a lot of ink on my blending tool, and I am going back and forth to the pad a lot so that there will be a heavy amount of ink in each area. I am blending from the darker chipped sapphire into the lighter faded jeans, and I'm going to cover most of the card area, but I don't need to completely cover the bottom, because I will be covering that up anyway. I've dried it with a heat gun, and I'm ready to apply my glitter embossing paste. Well, I'm sorry, glitter paste. It's not an embossing paste, but it gives a very similar look to the embossing paste in terms of just adding dimension, but it's just full of glitter. In my opinion, this is a fun way to add glitter without adding the mess of glitter, because it's a paste, and so it's not going to flake off. So I tried this at the Scrapbook Expo Mixed Media class, and they, as part of the class, gave us this blue color, which worked out perfect for the dark blue inspiration. They also gave us this metal spatula to use, and in the past I had actually really liked the plastic spatula I had picked up from Michael's, but I found with this glitter embossing paste that this flat metal one did a little bit better of a job. And so I just scooped some out and spread it into this stencil. This stencil is from Wow Studios, which is based in Las Vegas, and it's a relatively small company. Their stencils are created from a really thick stencil material, which makes it awesome for using with these embossing pastes and other thick mediums, because you'll really get that dimension. Once I have that finished, I'm going to set it aside to dry and do a little bit of Copic coloring. There's not too much detail in my Copic coloring today, but I did want to talk a little bit about where you might place the shadows on this. Now, in this scene, I probably should have a light source because it is a complete night scene, but I'm just going to use some easy shadows because they're such a small space you'll hardly notice them anyway. So I'm just using two colors, the B24 and 28. I didn't want to go with a denim-y blue. I wanted a little bit brighter of a blue to just stand out more from the background. And so the 24 and 28 are a little far apart, so I had some trouble blending them, and when you can have that, you can just touch the tips of the markers together. So you touch the lighter marker to the darker marker, and it blends out a little bit better. For the sled, I believe that I'm using E35 and 37. And I'm going to create a little shadow where the bunny is sitting on it, because he would create a shadow on top of the sled. So yeah, it's 35 and 37. And then for the bunny, I want him to be white, but I don't want him to look flat, so I'm just going to add a little bit of dimension with my C0. I like these cooler C's when working with a card that's overall a cool tone. Usually I might use a W for a critter, but because there's so many cool colors in the card, I wanted to continue that and use the cool grays. I also felt like the C0 didn't add quite enough dimension and did a touch of C1 as well. I'm going to, now that my glitter paste is mostly dry, place this panel with some foam tape behind it onto the glitter paste panel. I like the foam tape because when you add the glitter paste, it does add some dimension, and it will give you kind of lumps and bumps in the bottom area unless you use the foam tape to sort of smooth that out. I also put some foam tape behind the bunny, but I didn't put it behind the sled so that the sled wouldn't sit up from the background, just the bunny would sit up from the night sky. Now, there are no sentiments included in the Winter Bunny stamp set, so instead I went to another Lawn Fawn stamp set and picked up this season's greeting sentiment. Something that I like about a lot of Lawn Fawn sentiments is the sentiments are placed inside of blocks so that you can line them up and you can easily position the sentiments over each other. And so I just lined up the rectangle blocks of the sentiment there. I wanted to create a little banner and I wanted to perfectly coordinate, so I just took the Copic markers I used to color the scarf to color the banner. And there's where I did a little bit more of that tip-to-tip technique. Because it was a larger area and the lack of blending was a little more noticeable, I just touched that B24 to the 28 and got a little bit more of a medium shade in between. Then I'm heat embossing it by stamping it in VersaFine and putting clear embossing powder over it. Something you might notice when working with your own colored panels is that the white sides of the paper are more noticeable because the core of the paper is still white, whereas in colored cardstock it's usually colored all the way through. So I just take my lightest marker and run it all along the sides so that it appears like the core was blue when in fact it was just white. When I placed that in the night sky, I thought it was getting a little bit lost and maybe it would have been better to cut the banner in the opposite direction and place it in the snow, but I could easily just fix that by giving it a white border. So I cut a little piece of white cardstock, just a touch bigger, maybe about a 1/4 inch bigger than the width of the banner, placed it on top, and then used the previous banner, the one with the sentiment on it, as a guide to cutting those fishtails once again. I'm going to pop that up again with foam tape just because I don't want to get those lumps and bumps that you might get from the embossing paste if you tried to adhere it on flat. And it also might kind of squish the embossing paste a little bit or the glitter paste a little bit, and I really just want a smooth, even look. So I'm going to place that sentiment up there in the top left corner and my card is finished. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you're interested in more crafting tutorials, including the use of stencils or Lawn Fawn products and Copic Coloring, please subscribe to my channel. I'm going to leave you a link again to the blog hop where you can enter for your chance to win. Thanks for watching. Bye.